Well, hi everyone. I'm John Redland with a retro review of WCW Nitro from July 10th, 2000. It's the fallout from Bash at the Beach 2000, where everything really bottomed out in WCW. I mean, check out my rant if you really want to hear what I thought about that, but fucking hell, the company was goddamn lifeless at this point. The sad part is, this was actually a fairly digestible episode of Nitro. And that doesn't mean it was good, because really nothing in WCW 2000 was particularly good. There were a few decent points, but this one at least went by quicker. Now, unfortunately, we are getting closer to New Blood Rising. Judy Bagwell on a forklift. Oh dear. Who thought that was a good idea? Oh wait, Russo did. Fucking Russo. Thanks, Russo, for ruining WCW with your inept booking. So, we start with a Booker T video package. About how finally won at Bash at the Beach. Commentators then mention how there's stuff they legally can't talk about because of what happened at Bash at the Beach. Thanks, Russo. So, you have to order the replay to see what happens. And then there's dubbed in crowd noise, a lot of dubbed in crowd noise. And I'm not saying the fans didn't react to Booker T like they clearly did. They love Booker, because he was one of the few shining stars that they had left. Shining star for you to see just how booked you truly be. Terrible, terrible rendition of that song. Moving on. Booker talks about how he wishes his mama was there, and then says he will be a fighting champion, calls out various people. He mocks Goldberg, calls him a mark for himself, and then brings his at the time wife there, Booker's wife, not Goldberg's wife. That would be very weird. And I don't actually remember what her name was. I don't know how long they were married, but you know what? Hopefully it was an amicable split. So here's Stevie Ray. I'm proud of you, brother, and I love you. That was essentially the what it boiled down to here. And then Scott Steiner shows up. Well, first Medeja does, and she cuts a bit of a promo. And then Scott Steiner shows up with a bat and lays out both of them. Threatens Booker's wife. Threatens to basically murder her, and then proceeds to beat down Booker a little bit more. This would be a recurring thing with Scott Steiner, because then then backstage Booker saying to Stevie Ray, I will handle it, do not worry. Then Jarrett wants his rematch. And then Scott attacks him and breaks down the set. The backstage interview set. Then Shane Douglas with Tori Wilson, and Shane cuts a bit of a promo, and then they have a match, or he has a match rather, with Crowbar while Daphne's there screaming at ringside. Crowbar with some weapons and some chairs and stuff. Tori tries to get involved. The women eventually both do get involved. Jawbreaker for 3. There you go. Like Shane, the matches didn't really mean much of anything, and the main event actually only got just under 6 minutes, despite having the main event talent and Jeff Jarrett also there. So, Buff Bagwell then attacks. So we're continuing that feud, I think. Kidman then says, well, Shane, if you want my sloppy seconds, have fun with Tori. Ouch. He also calls her other things I'm not going to mention here. And then Jarrett shoves him out of the way, and then they brawl a bit. They set up the backstage interview set again. Then 3 Count and Tank arrive in a limo. They have a gold record. Oh no, this gold record, what is this going to lead to? It's going to lead to, Young Dragons attacking and something else happening. But before that, get Miller and Jarrett talking. Jarrett wants his number 1 contenders match, and he's the number 1 contender. He wants his rematch. But nope, Miller says you're going to face Kidman. I don't know when Miller turned face. I don't know if Miller is face or if they just realized they need to do an about face and make him less annoying. Good luck. You need to take him off TV for that to happen. So, back to that thing I said about the gold record and 3 Count and Tank. Young Dragons show up and they attack. And then Great Muta, for some reason, shows up and, miss Tank. There we go. I don't know if he made that many more appearances after this. I believe he teamed with Vampiro at one point, briefly, but that didn't last very long. It was very odd. And then we get Jarrett versus Kidman. They both get Pyro. Don't know why Jarrett did. He was a chosen one, but he's not really all worth Pyro. Match is fine. Jarrett was upset and wanting his rematch, and Kidman kept focusing on trying to beat down Jarrett, and then he gets low blowed by Tori, who appears all of a sudden, and then attacked by Shane. But he keeps kicking out. He hits a BK bomb, that sit out maneuver, but that was a bit of a botch one. He gets that for 2, and eventually the stroke for 3. There you go. Then Scott Steiner destroys Canyon backstage, which is going to play into something a little bit later. And Awesome and some woman, I think they said she was Nitro Girl Beef because she's fat. Fat shaming. It's never changed in wrestling, unfortunately. Actually, I probably should have done that instead. But Miller says, hey, I stripped Scott Steiner of the U.S. title. How about, I just give it to you? Austin says, thanks, but no thanks. I want to earn it. Okay. Bit weird that they're doing this with Mike Awesome all of a sudden. Then Booker versus Mike Awesome for some reason for the WCW Championship. And it was fine at first, actually. This for a TV match, it was only about 6.5 minutes. It was okay. There was a nice splash from Awesome. Big man doing those kind of moves, pretty impressive. Table spot, and then he gets bumped through it. And eventually bookend for 3. Scott Steiner attacks Booker. Awesome makes the save, so no, we're doing a face turn for Mike Awesome, the career killer. They have no idea what they're... It's like they were trying to reset this shit again after doing the infamous reboot episode a few months ago. And this just wasn't working. But they were figuring, okay, let's just do some resets with characters. Yeah, let's make Mike Awesome the fat chick thriller and that 70s guy. That'll get over. Ernest Miller then is out there talking about Scott Steiner, calls him a stupid bitch, slaps him. He tries to fight Scott Steiner and gets laid out. Booker then gets in the ring, and then Page gets in the ring. Well, not Page, positively Canyon Page, basically is what they should call him. And then Jarrett, we're going to have a 3-way dance, and the winner gets to face Booker at New Blood Rising. And then Goldberg, how about we make it a 4-way? Okay, we'll make it a 4-way. That's how matches are basically made in WCW. Smiley is then helping Ralphus work out. We get a rematch from Bash at the Beach, and basically what happens is Vito gets knocked out with a chair and covers Ralphus after a splash on table 1, 2, 3. That's it. I'm not going to give this any time because nothing against Norman Smiley. Vito was fine. Ralphus, they didn't need to have Ralphus doing this shit anymore. It was just bad. They should never had him wrestle in the first place. Oh yeah, and the Young Dragons are back to attacking Ernest Miller like they did to Bash at the Beach. This was stuff that kept happening that they thought would actually work. And then Kiwi or Kiwi, whatever the fuck they call him, he's a fashion designer. And Paisley is so taken aback by him. Paisley, the future Charmel, by the way. Lenny Lane is in the crowd saying, use me. Discount Chris Jericho, as they basically labeled him. Now, it's really a shame because he actually was a pretty good talent, but they just gave up on him for whatever reason. Lance Storm then says, I don't dance, I don't sing, I just wrestle. Which basically summarizes his career, and then they play the Canadian National Anthem. The artist shows up with Paisley. Paisley joins commentary, proceeds to ruin this match. It's Lance Storm. And, I realize sometimes I will say Lance Archer instead of Lance Storm, because it's just, for some reason, I'm stuck in the now, trying to go back to then. It's just ridiculous. But Lance Storm is an incredible wrestler. Really, really good, really good, solid fundamentals in the ring. It's a shame that they didn't utilize him that well. And I'm not talking about WCW. I'm talking about WWE. So, Single Leg Crab gets a tap. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. Ray, Hoovy, and Tigress join commentary. And Tigress, I don't know what her deal is, but she is not good at commentary. She should never be allowed to speak on a wrestling program. And neither should Hoovy, because I didn't understand what the fuck Hoovy was saying. And I don't even think it was the accent. I literally think he was drunk. Ray was also there. And it's Chronic versus Hugh Morris and Lash LaRue tag team championship match. It was messy. There was the botched Doomsday device that they tried to hit that was really bad. Lash LaRue really hit hard. I hope he was okay because that looked painful. And they get the 3, so they retain that perfect event attack. Stasiak and Palumbo with the Lexi bar. Oh, and then Vampiro comes out with the casket, and the demon's in the casket. He has mind control over him and says, go attack your wife who's here. He literally says to a wrestler, go attack your wife. Vampiro's the one that told Chris to do that to Nancy. I'm never going to let that go, even though I should. So, he talks about, he does that and everything, and then suddenly Sting, who was burned, by the way, remember when he was burned in the Human Torch match? Remember that bullshit? He shows up, all covered everything except for his nose, and in goggles and stuff like that, and uses the bat, Stinger Splash, all this weird spoopy lighting and stuff like this. It was bullshit. And then, yeah, this was fucking shit. Jarrett versus Canyon versus Steiner versus Goldberg. Jarrett wins after Steiner and Goldberg just keep brawling. And Canyon's the fall guy. That's it. That's your lot right there. These reviews are probably going to get a lot shorter unless something really bullshit happens or something really good happens. Oh boy. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.